These are the Srixon ZXi Irons, and I'm going to hit all three of them on the same shaft to see what the difference is in data between the three models. We've got the ZXi7, which is the smaller of the three models, so it's more like your sort of like cavity back iron. It is just one step up from a blade, and my favourite feature on these irons, which we did see in last year's ZX7 MKII, is that tungsten weight in the toe. So this little billet of metal that's in there gives it a bit more mass, so when you hit it off center on the toe, you've got that extra bit of mass to stop it from deflecting outwards. And compared to last year's ZX7 MKII, this ZXi7 flights a bit lower with a bit more spin head to head than that. So with that little bit of extra spin, we get a bit more control into the greens. My favorite thing with the ZXi5, the next one up that's slightly chunkier, just a little bit more forgiving, is that we continue with that billet in the toe. We've still got that heavy weight in the toe to stop it from deflecting outwards. We didn't have that last year, so combination sets where we go ZX7 irons and then we go for a slightly more forgiving longer iron, or we go up to the 7 iron in the ZXi7s and then ZXi5s. When we get that chunkier one in there, we continue with that same idea, which I absolutely love. And these irons do very well in combo sets because they look a little bit similar at address. They don't sort of like massively change. We don't get a massive amount more offset. We don't get massively thicker in the top line. It does continue very nicely in a very tidy way. Now, in general, on an iron head, when you have more weight at the base of the golf club, you've got more weight underneath the golf ball, which helps the ball launch a little bit higher. When we hit the ball off center, we've got a bit more mass on that bottom edge to stop it from twisting and deflecting. We've just got that little bit of extra bit on these new ones. And then a Srixon specific bit of technology here, or design, where we've got that line there in the middle, that V-sole, where it changes the interaction into the turf, so we get a bit more forgiving if we're delivering it this way or this way. We still get this bit sort of like glancing off the floor, giving us a little bit of glide, stopping it from digging in as easily. And they have introduced that into the new driving irons as well, and it wasn't on last year's driving irons. Then we go into the ZXi4, which is the more forgiving version of the club. It has a hollow body construction, which means that they can get the face a lot thinner, so we get a bit more rebound off the face, and they do tend to be a little bit stronger lofted to give us a bit more distance. But we'll see how much by in this video. Very soon I will do a what's in the bag video because I'm now a Srixon ambassador, so I've got a new kit for this year. However, I'm still waiting on my wedges, so I've only got the demo clubs in the bag. I did do something cool yesterday where I burnt the head on this 58 degrees, so I've burnt it so it changes colour. So compared to the chrome ones, that does look pretty cool. I basically had a customer that couldn't get the tall rack heads that he wanted, so we went for the standard ones and we burnt them, and I decided to burn my demo one before I did his just to see what it comes out like. Waiting on my wedges, but I have my irons pitching wedge up to 6 iron. So the 6 iron is in the ZXi7, and then we go up to the ZXi4. So I've just got a bit more help in my 5 iron just to give it a bit more pop and a bit more consistency of distance, just to make sure it does the yardage I want it to do. Let's have a look at the difference between these three models in the demo 7 iron heads. I'm going to hit all three of these on the same shaft. This is the ZXi7. It's 2 degrees flat, so I tend to miss the ball left, so going 2 degrees flatter brings the ball out to the right hand side a little bit. I am going to use that same setting on each head so it's nice and consistent for us. And I'm going to use my golf ball, which is a Z-Star Diamond, which will be my golf ball of choice for this season. Wow, that was horrible. I've just been in the gym, so bear with. Get that club head through that ball. And it helps if I line this up, because I definitely didn't spank that right. So ZXi7, I've had a couple to warm up. Nicely done. Now I don't want to hit too many balls because I don't want to start adjusting to the club. I just want to put a couple of natural swings through the ball, see what comes out, just to give us a fairer test. Nice shape on there, nice spin rate on there. Now very soon we might be getting Mizuno in as a brand. So jump in the comments if there's any Mizuno products you would like to be tested from this year's lineup. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to get a notification for when they come in. But you'll be hard pressed to beat this ZXi7. It is a delightful golf club. I like what comes out of them. Probably would help if I didn't just finish in the gym, but they've all got a fair shout. Okay, so ZXi7, we've got some data on that one. Now I know what happens with these clubs in general because I've done a lot of fittings, but it's just interesting to see the actual data, the actual amount of difference that we get from them. So combo sets that I sell in store are quite plentiful. Let's go ZXi5. Oh, it just looks nice at address. Normally when you go bigger and chunkier in a club, you get more offset, so you get this bit like sticking out a bit more, but behind the ball we've only got a little bit there. It does sit quite nicely in a combo set, like I said, against the ZXi7. I've even gone ZXi4 in my 5 iron because I just want a little bit more help, and I do generally like that as an idea. Oh, that sounded different off the face. That felt a little bit hotter. I pulled it a bit. There we go, definitely getting higher compared to the ZXi7, so it'd be interesting to see the difference in peak height. Definitely just a little bit easier off the face. And the reason someone might lean towards the ZXi7 is because they want that ball to launch lower, they want that ball to spin more, they want a bit more control into the greens. I generally find that the ZXi5 does maintain a lot of spin, which is absolutely lovely in today's market. There's so many clubs that are more helpful, really strong lofted, which makes the ball go miles, but they do it with a really low spin rate. And yes, the ball goes really far, but your 6 iron, your 5 iron, your 4 iron are kind of redundant because they don't launch with spin to hold the ball in the air. Delightful. Yep, that's just going to kind of be on repeat doing what it does. Decent, healthy amount of height, but if you want to keep that ball a bit lower, maybe we go ZX4. And to be fair, if I was forced into using the ZXi4 as a full set, so going all the way through, I'd honestly be more than happy. I'd probably just choose like the spinniest ball I could find to make sure I'm maintaining spin to make it land on the green. I do a lot of golf ball comparisons, so there is a lot of value in using the same golf ball as often as possible. If I accidentally use an AD333, maybe it will spin too low and just rock it. I will need that ball to land on the green and stay. If you're the sort of golfer that lands it short of the green and runs it in, the ZXi4 could be a good option because it's going to be lower spinning, predictably. On that lower spinning threshold, it's going to land, it's going to run into the green with a bit more consistency. If you're looking for pure distance, then this is the sort of thing you're looking at. But again, like if we go, drop the club, if we have a look at that, like there's not a massive amount of offset, it's not sticking out too much. And if you need it to stick out a bit more, you've got the Cleveland range of golf clubs that would complement that kind of side of things. So Cleveland are the same branch as Srixon, they come from the same manufacturer. This is the Cleveland here, and it just has a much longer blade length. There's just a lot more surface area along here, and that would be your next step up from the ZXi4. But there is a little bit of a change in the noise, the sound. They might sound a little bit clickier, but again, that's just because they're trying to get the face to flex and release a lot more. The ZXi4 does have that, but it does it in a beautiful way. Ooh, lovely. So I want to see the change in spin rate. I want to see the change in launch angle. So they're stronger lofted, so they might launch a bit lower. And we might get a lower peak height. So again, that kind of like lower spin, lower launch, lower peak height could be good on windy conditions. The forgiveness in the heads in terms of like it being a hollow construction, it being thinner in the face and having a bit more rebound off it could just mean that we maintain more ball speed if you're struggling for that sort of thing. I've put one in my bag at the top end just to make life easier. And I did that last year as well to good effect. I had the ZX4 4 iron. Easy off the face, absolutely carries. That was a little bit thin, 192 on the last one, 183 on that one, so I've lost a bit. Oh, it just comes off like a rocket. And in the Srixon lineup, we do have a really good selection of shafts at no upcharge. There are, of course, some upcharge shafts in there, but we got a decent amount of choice. You got like the Modus, you got the Dynamic Gold Mid, you got the KBS Tour Light, the Zelos 8, which is a very underrated shaft that's not used as much. I use it a lot and it does really well. And the NS Pro Neo as well, that's a really good shaft, Neo GH. And then a decent selection of graphite shafts as well. So I've already ordered a set of these for a customer in graphite in the KBS TGI shaft, 60 gram, they're really nice. And he got on very well with them. He was looking for a bit more height, so we went ZX5 to get the ball slightly higher. But as longest time, we went ZXi4 just to give it a bit more pop. And actually, I had quite a few scenarios last year where I custom ordered the ZXi4 iron instead of going for the utility club, because we could get the same shaft in as the irons and just a slightly lower price point than the utility club. Although the utility clubs are really nice, there is another way around it. Now last year I called the ZX4 irons absolute fun sticks, and they are still absolute fun sticks. The ZXi4 doesn't have the tungsten weight in the toe, but we do have that hollow head construction for that thinner face, so they've just got a bit more forgiveness in a slightly different way. So just going to have a look at the data. Is there any outliers? I've got that one thin shot that I hit there, the only one that carried under 190. Just take one out of the ZXi4. ZXi7, I'm happy with all of them. ZXi5, got one outlier there. I just want to hit a couple more ZXi7s actually, just to make sure it's not all on cold swings. So I'm just going to go 2 balls with the ZXi5. Nearly went in. Yeah, nice. And a couple of balls of ZXi7. The average on the ZXi7 was a little bit shy. So if my first 2 balls are particularly healthier than the group I've got, then I'll just make a new group, bear with. And select ZXi7. So 177 was the average before. Oh, that's definitely going to be more. I am more warmed up. Right. Let me get a few of these in. Yeah, 186. Okay. Nice. Yeah, definitely more warmed up than I was before. And that should make it fair. So I've deleted the early shots in the ZXi7 and I've just got some more while I'm warmed up, couple of miles an hour extra in speed and just a bit more consistent. Peak heights, so the highest point the ball reaches, ZXi4 115, ZXi5 122, so it's a much higher peak height with the ZXi5, 15, 22, 107, so I'm definitely lower on the ZXi7, feeding into where that weight is. So on the ZXi7, because we've got a bit more concentrated weight, a little bit higher up the club head, like we've just got a bit more weight above the golf ball, which will make it launch lower with a bit more spin, just in that design. When we've got more weight down here, it's going to launch higher with less spin, like the ZXi5, but we're seeing the fruits of that labour in that 107 peak height. So spin rate wise, what aren't we going to see on the other screen? 48 degrees down into the ground, 49.9 with the ZXi5, so it reaches a higher point and it comes in steeper, so it's going to stop quicker. ZXi4 coming in still nice and steep. Excellent. So it's not like that's absolutely demolished. We're still getting a nice steep angle of attack with a decent spin rate, which gives us more control. Let's just see those ones together. We've got decent grouping. So the white one is ZXi7, so it's a bit more consistent for me. I'm just used to that thing. Actually, the ZXi5 ring is just as tight, just further up. Again, I could quite happily use either one. I've got a bit more spread on the ZXi4, but we've got ZXi5 is the highest one up there. ZXi7 is the lowest, ZXi4 is in the middle, just carries on that little bit further because we have more ball speed on it. There's a bit more release, a bit more launch off the face, progressively more speed up to the ZXi4. Launch angle lowest with the ZXi7, even though it's a higher lofted club. These are lower lofted, ZXi4 is the lowest lofted, and it sort of matches what we're doing there, apart from that one being so much lower because of the weight positioning, which gives us more spin, which is lovely. Progressively less spin into the ZXi4. I do a lot of fittings with the ZXi5, but we generally see this sort of pattern. We haven't got as much distance on the 7. We've got a bit more distance on the 5 with more height, with more spin, with more height, with a steeper landing angle of attack. They are very, very good sticks. The ZXi4 just has a bit more pop. Does it on a lower flight, does it on a lower spin, does it with more speed. But there we go. But I do see those same trends in the fittings that I do in store. It is very consistent across the board. So what I've seen there, I'm very happy that that data is very accurate as to what you're going to find if you go and try them out or if you order them. But let me know, have you tried them out? Are you going to try them out? Also, again, there's the Mizuno thing. Do you think Mizuno could be a good stick? Do you want to see any specific Mizuno products? So when they come in, I'll jump on those videos first. But as it is, I'm waiting on my wedges. Once they come in, I'll show you what's in the golf bag.